Okay, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Femi Falana. In this particular season, we started this yesterday. It's, a national event. The NLC protest rally to support and underline the case of ASUU. They've been on strike, as we well know, since February now. It hasn't gotten better. The chair of the NLC chair yesterday, when he spoke with us, he said that all the matters, none of them have really been resolved yet. And so this action, as you well know, is to sort of underline that and also to serve notice. Well, today we have with us the Lagos Zonal Coordinator of ASUU, Mr. Adelaja. Is it Mr. Adelaja or Comrade Adelaja?
Comrade Adelaja is much like it.
Comrade Adelaja Odukoya. Yeah. And he was very, very active yesterday because like all the states, Lagos, was also on the road yesterday. They were they were going to see the governor. They went to the governor's office, and but it didn't quite, turn out the way we had expected. But let Comrade Odukoya speak about that. The rally was a success to the extent that you indeed took off from Ikeja and landed up at Alausa ultimately. But maybe we were speaking before coming on air that the fact that you were not able to deliver the letter personally, the message for the president personally to the governor, was something of a dampener.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Gayori. It's nice being on set with you again.
Thank you, sir.
Yesterday was very wonderful. Yesterday was marvelous. And yesterday was equally very historic for us. And again, it equally demonstrated clearly that our commitment towards revitalization, towards saving public education in this country, painful as the burden is for us, is not wasted. We're on the streets in our numbers. The umbrella union, which is the NLC, was there to provide a platform. Other affiliate unions were there. And the Nigerian people were there, which those who lead this country and those who are responsible to running our educational system, our grand and this country the way it is, were on the street with us listening to comment from people. If they are Christian, Muslim, or animist, they will need to go and do some appeasing to their God with the kind of curse people were raining on them yesterday. So in terms of public acceptance, it was as if this should have come much earlier than now. I would thank the NSA for providing that platform. When we got to Alausa, and again to me before I go further, we equally have to acknowledge the very historic, of course it's not surprising, presence of Comrade Femi Falana, SAN. I was with us, he joined us at Allen, and the distance from Allen to the governor's office, he was with us until the whole program was concluded. So that was quite. So it shows that it was not just about just shouting when there is need for action, it was there. So when we got to the governor's office, the first tragedy was that we were not even going to be allowed to enter the facility where this thing. This is a democracy for crying out loud. And we fought at the cost of our own life for this democracy, when most of these so-called leaders, rulers now are nowhere to be found. We were locked out. It took our spirited insistence, the intervention of Comrade Falana, the chairman of NLC in Lagos State, and our insistence that this is a democracy before common sense prevailed and were allowed in. Initially, too, we were equally told, and it's on record, that the governor is around and the governor was going to address us. Well, after a while from nowhere, the story changed, and we were told he was no longer around, and the commissioner, not even the deputy anyway, not even the chief of staff, the commissioner for establishment, I think Mrs. Bonley, came to receive the letter on behalf of the governor and promised that. So for us, it is disappointing, especially when election, if people even do this, when you are just a few months to election, it shows how insensitive and the kind of contempt our leaders all the ordinary Nigerians. It's not the best.
Well, it's almost as if, from your point of view, maybe you feel that this whole action is being taken for granted.
Exactly, sir. Exactly.
Whereas,
particularly, the action is not even about Lagos State per se, you know. So you will even feel that it will provide a platform. The same thing happened in most other states around there. And we have some pockets of states where you have the governors.
Exactly. I was going to say
where you have the governors, they came out. That is how it should be. It is when you want to start campaigning now, you see them all over the places. Of course, the only tragedy is that, anyway, maybe with the new electoral law and what we're seeing will change. They hardly campaign. And that's the kind of contempt. Because if you know in another 4, 5 months, 6 months down the line, you will come back to seek for my mandate, you won't treat us with such disrespect and contempt.
The 2009 collective bargaining agreement, because it was the chair of NLC yesterday who had said that, no, that was what it was. It was a collective bargaining agreement.
Exactly. She was right.
Exactly. And that government has not been able to act on that. I think is one of the main issues that needs
It's actually the main issue.
In fact.
Yeah.
Because the contents of that, if you would just, paraphrase them.
Thank you very much. The 2009 agreement is a collective bargaining agreement, and I need to situate that. It comes against the background that ASUU as a union, we don't go for awards. Awards is where a situation when the government just look at it, Laja, you are looking fine, take 10 naira. And tomorrow it feels, oh, Laja, you have said what I don't like. You are now on 5 naira. No. The collective bargaining agreement is an international standard for labor, where even in the private sector, employers and employees will sit down. Within our means and resources, we agree on what to do and what not to do about condition of service, the primus of which happen to be salaries, emoluments, and things like that. So that was what we agreed. And the three things are, for one, the condition of service, in terms of what are the salary, what are the emoluments, and things like that. Two, because for us as university lecturers, we are not just bothered about what we take home. We are equally bothered about what we produce. And what we produce is connected with the environment in which we produce. It's connected with the kind of instruments with which we work. It's connected with what we call global standard. They are global templates. Because when we talk about university, you are talking about a universal standard, whereby the product in Lagos is the same thing as the product in Hong Kong. It's the same thing as the product in Toronto. It's the same thing as the product in Washington. So that when people or our graduates leave this place, they can easily fit in that. But when you have a situation whereby the lecturer that is teaching is not well motivated, the instrument and infrastructure and the kind of equipment, the kind of environment that is supposed to be available to actually impart knowledge is not there. For example, the need assessment report that we forced government to do in 2012, 2013, you see a situation whereby a classroom meant for 50 people, you have over 2,000 people, students sitting on the floor. You have a situation where you have computer laboratory without computers, or people graduating, we have graduate students in computer that have not even worked on computer. Or you have people who are science students, they don't have Regent in their labs. Or you have students in their laboratory, instead of Bunsen burner, they are using stove. You can't produce students that will compete with their counterpart other parts of the world. So,
yet when these students, when people like such as you are describing, when they go abroad, out of our climes here, into other universities, they glitter.
Yeah, because thank you very much too. The dimension to that is that as lecturer, we sacrifice our own health, our own wealth, even this poverty wage to even get things done. For example, I can say without, and I am from the University of Lagos, one of the best in terms of equipment and in terms of libraries and things like that. I can tell you for free that you can come to my office. There are books I have that you can't even see in our university library, because I have personally, from my own personal resources, invested. So,
and you use this as part of your teaching regimen.
That is the essence, and for self-development. And I can tell you, there was this. I have a student it's now a PhD holder. He left the school. The kind of resources I was using for them in my 300 level course, that was the same material they recommend a compulsory reading for him at Oxford for an MPhD PhD program. But that book, as at that time, was not in our university library. So the fact that we have some of these students that excel is because of the sacrifice we are making. We invest in self-training, we invest in conferences, we invest in international exchanges and things like that. These are things we are supposed to be paid for. So that's another, let's say, revitalizing or revitalization fund for universities so that our universities can be globally competitive. Then again, the third one is what we call autonomy of the university. Mm-hmm. The university is a special vehicle. And that's why we say it's universal. There's a universal template. It's special because I know you. We know you in this country. We know what you have done in terms of print, in terms of journalism. Even the vice chancellor, and I think we need your expertise. All I just need to do is to take you from here and say, come. Maybe it's even just one week in a month. I will use you. But you see, that means the whole license of autonomy, people mistake it alone that if you say you are talking about autonomy, you must be financially distant. No, that's even secondary. The primary autonomy of the university is that the university should be in a position to determine what is being taught, how it's being taught, and to employ or engage those who think you can teach it, whether here or anywhere in the world, without any encumbrances. With IPPIs, and that takes us to the IPPIs, with IPPIs, to do what I've just said is not possible. I have to go to Abuja over centralization that has become the bane of this country itself. It has been extended to university system. You go to many of our universities now. They are departments without lecturers because they can't recruit. You need the approval of the head of service in Abuja to be able to recruit anybody in the university system. It's not done that way.
And so that's what autonomy would fix.
Yes, yes. And again, too, we have sabbatical. After 6 years, for example, because again, you don't have it all. Expertise is everywhere. I can come here and use 1 year on sabbatical. We are underlearn what is happening here. We can go anywhere in the world. People can come, fellowship and things like that. All those ones are no longer possible with IPPIs. So that's it. Then the other one, the fourth leg of the agreement is what we call, it described as orders. That is any other thing that is auxiliary or can aid things like it can come up in the process of this thing. So those are the four key points.